Hi,
Let's go.
everybody. I'm here with David, and today we are going to dive deep into Yantra Yoga. And I think we should just start off with the basics, which is what is Yantra Yoga?
It is one of the forms of yoga that is dealing with the mind and understanding of the sacred geometry of the universe, the measurement of time, and how all of this relates to the chakras, which themselves, as you may have seen pictures of the chakras, and they're all geometric designs specifically laid out in certain ways, representing they're actual pictures of energy formats, formations, etc. And it says the source of yantra goes back who knows how far. I've looked at the source of yoga, and it goes back. You're looking at going back to Egypt and to Atlantis, and this whole science of human reality has been around for a long time. Yantra is the intellectual part, the mathematics and the geometry, measurement of chakra influences through time and how energy moves in certain patterns. You've seen some of the videos I have of the sand on a steel plate, and you put Om into it, and it creates this mandala, a geometric design. Just the sound moves the sand particles in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy of coming in from the universe is all vibration. It's moving our atoms and molecules in a similar way. They're much smaller than grains of sand, and they're very influenced by all these vibrations. So, an intellectual understanding and calculation of that phenomena is Yantra Yoga.
That's it. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. It's so intense. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Yantra Yoga, and then we have Yantra Yoga readings. Can you explain what a Yantra Yoga reading is and how
Well,
that?
yeah, reading is looking at an individual person, and from the time you are born, the day you begin breathing, you do that on a specific day that, like astrology, it kind of determines a lot of the energy that you have at your disposal, the energy that makes up your personality, your being. And from that, there is a calendar unfolding because the chakras are always revolving and spinning, and we have the influence of this chakra, that chakra. Every day it's changing, every month it's changing, and every year it's changing. And you can calculate that from your date of birth as to what your energies are as primary energies, which is how you would begin a reading by looking at what are your chakras, your dominant chakras. And then you look at the chakras through time, the cycles, the chakra energy that's influencing you this year, which is influencing you for 365 days. So it's a stronger influence than the daily chakra. Everything is like a cosmic clock, it's revolving. We have months and we have days within the month and we have hours within the day. The same phenomena applied to the ever whirlpooling chakra world.
Hmm. So everyone's born basically with a unique coding
Yeah.
of energy coding. And how does the average person that hears that, how could an average person or anybody use their unique coding to their benefit? How can it help them if they knew?
Well, it gives you a deeper understanding of who you are, what your motivations are, what your drives are, what your capabilities are, and from that you can make more intelligent decisions about what you're doing with your life.
Hmm. And going, if you knew your roadmap, I don't know what you call it, but like when you can see what is influencing the person every year and month and day, how can that help somebody
Planning.
planning?
The Yantra Yoga system doesn't give you a predetermined, this is what's going to happen. It's telling you what energy you have at your disposal for this time. Let's say it's for the year and you're in a one cycle year. This is a time to set up your personal life, your business, your looking after yourself, strengthening your body, doing exercise. And then it changes into a two cycle year, which is very different, where it's much more social, interacting with people and considering their perspective, their point of view, and how you interact with them, and how you can help them and they can help you in your projects or your life purpose or however you see that. And
So, what happens if someone is not in alignment with what their current time cycle um, is? For example, let's say that they're in a heart chakra year, but they're really trying to travel or get their
you
business.
miss your plane.
Yeah, it's literally like it's like that
Yeah,
where you're not in alignment
when
with the
things are
energy.
not falling into place, you're probably off time.
Yeah,
And if you stop and look at your Yantra calendar, you can see this is a time to be sitting, breathing, and meditating and contemplating your life, not jumping into a plane and going to some other country.
not getting rid of your job and applying for a new one or making huge life decisions unless you tuned into your heart and your heart said it's time to make this change.
Yeah, but your heart will be in tune with these time cycles,
Yeah.
and your heart will kind of know there's an ending of a cycle. It goes in 9 year cycles or 9 month cycles within the year. And at the end of nine, you have completed something and you automatically are looking for the next thing to do. If you're aware of this, you can sit back and contemplate and not think, I have to do something else. You can say, okay, I need to contemplate what I'm going to do next. I've just completed this project and I've done this travel and I've been here this long and now I'm moving on to the next thing
So
and I'm
you,
going to move on the right day.
so you can really map out your goals, your ambitions into the right energy so that you have more of a probability of synchronicities, abundance, creative flow. Everything just seems to be in alignment
Yeah,
if you are in alignment with what your energies are showing you,
yeah. And
pointing for you
then
to go.
with the Yantra Yoga, because it's all related to the chakras, the energy fields of the chakras, each chakra has a specific form of yoga. Some of it can be very doing the traditional hatha yoga postures and asanas. Another one will be a time where you should be doing jnana yoga or looking into how your mind and emotions are working, whether they're stable or not. The fifth chakra is the one where, okay, I need new ideas and new inspirations. It's time to travel. And the flow of the energy is going to help you to travel at that time,
Mm-hmm.
which is different from the four, which is not travel,
Rest.
just rest and be still and feel how you are with your life and your health and this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the difference between how do you compare Yantra Yoga with human design or astrology?
I would say they complement each other. You can get a certain amount of information from one. I mean, you're looking at astrology being the influence of the energy that's coming from the stars, the universe. Okay? The Yantra Yoga is same thing. It's looking at the energy that you have access to now, and it's a very solar kind of calendar. It's dealing with this solar system, the sun being the solar power at the middle of our system. And as it's going through its revolutions, it's giving us waves of possibilities to do this or to do that. And astrology gives you a different perspective of things that can be done, more detail maybe about specific events and synchronicities and the role of how people interact and fit into the scene,
Mm.
and human design. You tell me about it.
I don't
Uh,
know much about it, to be
okay.
honest. But I mean, maybe because I'm biased, because I just love Yantra Yoga so much. I feel like Yantra Yoga is the pillar of it all. It's so ancient. I mean, didn't it come before astrology? And human design, I believe, was just recently kind of created.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, astrology has been around for a long time
Yeah.
too. The ancient cultures all looked at the stars, the positioning of the stars, where the sun was within the group of stars, etc. And Yantra Yoga was a calculation of our personal star, the sun, and how its energy is impacting us. And like I say, if you're thinking of ancient cultures or primitive cave dwellers, you're making a big mistake. We've had civilizations coming and going for a long time. It's been swept under the carpet, but that's coming back to light. And they all considered the energy of the universe as this is what drives us. This is what gives us our characteristics. This is what makes us feel like doing this or that.
So when we tap into that, we feel more empowered. We feel more, I don't want to say in control, because that's very, it's like a grasping, but we feel empowered and like we have a say in our lives.
Yeah.
Have
When
you?
you feel and see the energy that you have at your disposal, you can make an intelligent choice as to what you're going to do. If it's a creative energy, if it's a social energy, if it's a very individual energy, if it's a travel and explore energy, and if you're following that energy, the energy is supporting what you're doing, and you've chosen to go along with what's happening.
So less
And
resistance.
yeah, less resistance, and you feel like you're in the flow,
Yeah.
and everything is kind of synchronistically falling into place, and it's cool.
Have you ever had any experiences like when you first learned how to read your own chart and you were like, okay, I'm going to try to get it realigned with my, energies? Did you?
When I discovered Yantra, I look back in time at the events of the last few years of how I stepped out of civilization and went on this world exploration tour and got into Buddhism and yoga and stuff, and everything was right on time.
Were you in a 5 year, which is the
No, it was one.
nomadic? Oh, planting seeds and starting fresh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
left civilization at the end of a 9 cycle year, decided to go and travel and explore and find purpose of life. I didn't know it was the end of a 9 year cycle, but when I look back, when I discovered the system, I look back, no, I did that right at the right time.
Yeah.
I was just feeling like I needed to change. I needed to step out of the established system that was so stable and boring and do the same thing for the rest of your life. Okay, there's more to life than this, and I felt the desire to do something new and different, to make a change. And
Yeah.
this was a one cycle, starting a whole new life.
It's very pioneer like of you,
Yeah,
pioneering a whole new
yeah,
thing.
and it was one is the energy of pioneering. It's a new
Yeah.
beginning, starting something creatively new and fresh, individual.
So it's really good for someone to know that because then they can start planning, or if they're going through a hard time, they know, okay, I'm coming up, I'm ending a cycle, about to learn everything from the last 9 years, and soon I'll be able to start fresh and plant seeds and start a new life. And if they are in alignment and they actually pursue their chart, what it says, they will experience
Yeah,
true new beginnings and
yeah,
vitality
and
and
yeah, and you
see.
get this feeling that you're doing the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing it at the right time, and it feels cosmically connected.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, what would be, um, then can you explain? It sounds like there's a lot of destination points or there's a lot of clear energy that sends you in certain ways. So, what's the difference between, let's just call those destination points versus free will?
Well, the free will has to do with the energy being not predestined. It's potential, it's energy, and you can decide what you're going to do with it. It's moving you towards and creating the sensation, the feeling of I want to travel and explore, I want to do something new. So what you do, what you're going to travel, where you're going to travel to is not determined by the numbers. It's just you have the capability, the possibility of traveling at this time and exploring new frontiers. And if you choose to do that, um, it's not determined that you're going to take this bus to this airport and turn around. All the details are in your domain. You choose, you decide. But the move to travel or the four cycle of I just want to sit, I'm going to sit and contemplate and do some writing, this kind of thing.
Hmm.
And like, remember that when I lived in Guatemala and I painted all those mandalas, in a one cycle month I painted the first mandala, in this two cycle month I painted the second one. And the details of these mandalas just kept showing up in my inner vision, and then I would be painting it. And I was doing mantras for this chakra and that chakra and all this stuff. So
It all just
I was,
flowed.
yeah, I was totally in the flow, and it was a very creative time of creative and productive, and felt very in tune. And I did the six chakras, and then I stopped there, and then went back, and then I got into being a little bit more grounded because I got a little spaced out doing just art for 6 months. Actually, it was 10 months
Wow.
because I painted the whole man before that, which took was a 4 month art project.
I love that man. You're the artwork of the man.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yes.
points and destination, predestiny, free will. Again,
It's more you're working with what's given to you. You
yeah,
still have free will.
you see, yeah, you have free will, and what you're looking at is the potential.
Yeah.
This is a certain kind of energy. What am I going to do with it?
Okay.
It doesn't come with instructions of this is what you're going to do and you can't do anything else. We are co-creators of our life.
And you get to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does knowing your dominant chakra help someone?
Knowing yourself, knowing what your potential is, whether you're a creative being, whether you're social, whether you're a pioneer, all of these things, and then you can, again, like I say, it comes down to having enough knowledge to make intelligent choices with what you're doing, with what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have number 6, so mind is very strong. My mind always wants to see both sides of the picture, the balance of intuitive intellect, understanding. More important to understand than to just gather a whole bunch of information bits.
Yeah.
I like seeing the picture come together. This is the way my mind operates. So I see that, and I sit back and I contemplate until my mind formulates the picture into this pieces of the puzzle coming together. And, oh, I see. I understand what I'm doing and why this has happened.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if, let's say, someone's coming to you with a lot of issues and they just like they feel lost or they're having a lot of health issues, and you sit down to do a Yantra Yoga session with them, and let's say that their dominant chakra comes out to 4. How would you then advise them? Like, how does it help them to know that they're heart chakra dominant and they're feeling lost and going through health issues? How can knowing the 4 aid them?
Well, the 4 is the chakra that empowers the immune system. And if you're having health issues, you know that this chakra doesn't have enough power to fulfill its functions, bodily functions of stimulating the immune system, making white blood cells, getting rid of infections, cleaning out the body, detoxing. This is all part of what the fourth chakra does. And you look at, if you know this is your nature, then you would spend a little extra time keeping your system clean, cooperating with the energy of healing, cooperating with the energy of detoxification.
Yeah. It,
And if you try and get into all kinds of a totally indulgent lifestyle, even in a minor way of eating junk food or something, you're going to have health issues.
because the heart chakra is, like you said, all about immunity and the healing, the self healing,
Yeah,
and the inner guru and knowing what's right for you. So it's kind of,
yeah,
if you knew that, then you knew you'd be prone to maybe getting sick if you were not in alignment with what your heart wants. A good indicator to know that you're not in alignment is if you find yourself getting sick a lot. Would that be a good way of?
yeah.
Okay.
Something is out of phase, out of harmony if you're getting sick a lot. And again, as you go through each of the chakras or each of the time cycles, there's the third chakra cycle. Let's say you're in a 3 cycle month. Your digestive system is really strong and powerful. You're in action mode. You feel like doing a lot of things. And then it changes to 4. So you need to change what you're doing because all of a sudden your body goes into a healing cycle and indulging and eating a lot,
Or doing.
doing. The energy of doing just kind of, I don't have it anymore. And your digestive system is slowing right down. Your body is trying to detox from all the things you've digested in the past and all the things that are not digestible, trying to clean you out.
And if you knew that was coming, you wouldn't try to continue doing, and pushing
That's right.
because you knew, okay, now I'm transferring into a heart.
A
Uh,
healing cycle
yeah.
at the physiological level.
So then you won't experience the resistance because you know to step back and go within instead of the
So you
doing.
make the conscious choice. And if you don't make that conscious choice, all of a sudden, oh, I can't, I've got indigestion. I don't feel like I can do this anymore. But I'm hungry, so I'm going to keep eating the same food. And your body is going to say, don't want this food anymore.
Feeling exhausted,
Yeah,
stressing out. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So intuitively, you can follow along and feel that something isn't right. But Yantra Yoga gives you a calculation system so that you can see and understand ahead of time what's coming. And as I said, I looked into the past and all the things that happened and the accidents that made me change my lifestyle and decide to go traveling. Everything happened right on time. So you can learn about the chakras and their influences by looking back over your life because you know your life and you know what you've gone through.
Yeah.
And with that little bit of information, you can look, okay, well, this is what happened in the last 4 cycle. I got quite sick and I couldn't get out of it. So this time I'm going to start detoxing and fasting right at the beginning of the 4 cycle. And then you eliminate the sickness.
And could you potentially eliminate that loop, that habitual loop as well, of always getting sick? Because you're kind
Yeah,
of changing the pattern within yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
By knowing you can make that change. If you don't know, then you don't know what's happening or why. And you become a victim
Yeah.
simply because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So knowledge is power in that sense, and because this is knowledge about yourself and knowledge about your connection to the universe and to the energy that the universe is giving you,
Mm-hmm.
then you can utilize that very well.
And have you seen your clients transform from when you're doing readings, when you're looking at their charts and they actually do the work and realign to the chart? Do you find that then they call you back in a month or a week and they're like, oh my God, everything's clicking into place?
Yeah, that's often the term they use. That things are clicking into place. Now I'm seeing how this works, and I'm looking back, and I'm looking at the people and calculating their chakras, and oh God, now I really understand them so much better. And
Mm-hmm.
so it gives you insight, and we're all working on energy, and we all have a certain energy. And when you understand that, you can deal with people better. You can deal with situations, and you time things so that you're doing the right thing at the
Mm-hmm.
right time.
What do you find that people come to you for the most for? Like for clarity, they feel lost, they want empowerment,
Mm.
or do you ever
Uh,
have?
I find a lot of people are looking for a purpose, looking for what to do with their life, and people come to do a yoga teacher's training partly because, oh, if you can get a good job teaching yoga, let's say, but most of them are looking for something that has a fulfilling purpose to it, something that is helpful for humanity. And there's a lot of young people are stepping out of the business and economic role of getting a good job into getting a good job that you enjoy doing and that has a purpose for humanity.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing that shift, and I see a lot of that. And a lot of people have come with confusion because all my parents want me to do this, but it doesn't feel right. It's not what I want to do. But they're saying, you got to make a living. Blah, blah, blah. And young people are a little bit more curious and intuitive, and they want to find something that feels better than just following the path of their parents, who are
Mm.
following the path of their parents, which goes back again kind of generations, and generations are all in the past. The future is wide open. Where we're at and what the changes humanity is going through is a whole new ball game.
So we can kind of make it up if we want as we go along. We just have
Yeah,
to remember that we could do really whatever we want.
yeah,
But the when you look at someone's chart, you can tell from what their dominant chakra is or subdominant and where they're at in their roadmap how you could steer them into a place where they feel like they're pursuing their purpose better, or their
yeah.
dominant chakra can really
What?
show you what their
Well, sure.
purpose is.
Your dominant chakra. It's called Dharma Marga, which is Dharma is your purpose. So let's say you have a five. You're number five. You have the fifth chakra. This is the chakra of knowledge, of information, of speaking, of teaching.
David, how does Yantra Yoga help you with your dharma and your karma?
It is about the Dharma, and when you know your basic chakra, you know what your best potential is, what you can become. As I was saying about the fifth chakra, teaching, exploring, knowledge realm. Fourth chakra, you're more prone to be in the healing realm. If you're second chakra, you're socially interactive and making connections and stimulating things. If you're first chakra, you're pioneering a lifestyle or something or inventing something new. And you feel this. And if you know your numbers and people are influencing you to do something different, which I see as a common problem in the young people because the parental and educational system influencing them, and they don't have time to feel what do I really want to do. And if you look at what your chakra is, it's a good indication of what you are capable of doing and the direction that you can go in to fulfill yourself.
Hmm.
And yourself isn't all yourself. You are part of a universal creation, and in that sense, we all have purpose. We all have a role to play in society, whether it's the role of healing, of social interaction, of pioneering new things or inventing things. And this is all part of the knowledge. And if you know that you're of a certain type of energy, you can follow that energy in a way that leads you to your Dharma, which is fulfilling the purpose of you being here for humanity, not your purpose of
Personal
com-
gain or
personal gain and making becoming the world's first trillionaire.
yeah. So, would you say that it's true then if someone feels really off of what they're doing, it's probably because they're not in alignment with their chakras or their energy signature or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah.
And getting a reading could help you understand where you're off,
Reset.
get you
Yeah.
reset, realigned.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever had a client that was so just off? Or is it normally that you see people that are actually just they're resisting and fighting and what the energy is asking them to do, and once they just tweak it a little bit and they're in alignment with the flow, then all doors break open for them.
Um, Mostly in the case of when I'm dealing with people in healing, people who come with diseases, there's they're out of sync with their energy. They've been doing the wrong things as far as their body's concerned, and they're not leading the life that fulfills them. They're doing what someone else expected them to do, and that puts them out of sync with themselves, with their internal energies. And you can look at, okay, this is your potential, this is the energy you have. You can do this and succeed with it very well. If you're trying to do that, you don't have the capabilities. The energy isn't there to support that kind of thing.
So they're going to experience resistance left and
They're
right.
going to experience bad alignment and conflict, confusion, accidents.
So, for example, let's say someone will go back to the heart chakra, the healer. Let's just archetype them as the healer. And they are trying to start a new business, and their goals are to make a ton of money, and they are doing it for more material gain. And the heart chakra, correct me if I'm wrong, is more of feelings. How can they help heal themselves and the world and others? And how can they be more compassionate and karma yoga, giving and receiving? It's a more gentle, feminine path, but they are
Yeah.
pursuing this masculine, go getting, high energy path.
Mm. Just from the quality of the energy of the chakras, the first chakra is self, it's getting, it's doing for yourself, it's succeeding, building your house and your empire and your bank account. The fourth chakra is an expansive, outward flowing. It's the opposite. So if you're trying to be a taker and a getter, you're out of sync.
And it's left and right, all this unluck and misfortune and
Yeah,
accidents and health problems.
it's not going to work out.
So, what would you tell that person if they were just like finding so much conflict and you realized, oh, you are actually heart chakra dominant? What would you tell them to do? Because that's a pretty big transition to ask of somebody or to
Yeah, but
share.
I haven't met people who are heart chakra oriented and so gung ho into the material
It's
existence.
true because that their
It
energy
doesn't,
doesn't want that.
yeah,
So maybe that's not the best example. But let's say there was someone, it would show you that they're very out of sync with,
yeah.
yeah.
And which usually happens when you're doing what other people have expected you to do. I mean, heart chakra people are into the sensitivity, the giving, the caring, and society isn't that way.
Mm-mm.
Society is about, hey, you got to live for yourself. You got to get your own, make your money, get a good living, and succeed. And don't worry if you have to step on other people to get to a better place. And it's just counterintuitive to how they feel about life. And they're going to feel, I'm
Off.
doing this, but it's really not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then that leads to this whole discord, disharmony, which will eventually bring you into a state of disease if it carries on, if you don't resolve it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, knowing your potential, let's call it your energy potential. Your chakra is the potential energy you have, and that energy has a certain frequency that is capable of accomplishing certain things, doing certain things, and not these other things. So, if you're aware of it, you choose what's in the flow, and then you feel, well, okay, this is really, then you start to see and feel synchronicity in how things are falling into place for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you miss that synchronicity when you're
Out of
off
alignment.
track, out of
Yeah.
alignment. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, do you find that people that are higher, that have dominant chakras that are in the higher numbers, come for readings more than the people with lower numbers? Just want to make it clear, it
Mm,
doesn't mean higher is necessarily better. It's just the lower chakras are very human, very material, very earthbound. And then as you go higher up, they tend to be more
yeah, there might be
spiritually
more
inclined.
questioning. Let's
Yeah.
say, as a number one person has a good job and is doing what he wants in the world and doesn't question other aspects of living. I'm successful with what I'm doing, and this
And
is
that's
it.
that.
Whereas a number nine is looking at the bigger picture and trying to sort out what am I doing on this planet, and doesn't feel comfortable just having a good job and a good house. There's something more, and the energy is drawing your consciousness to questioning the purpose of life in the universe. Whereas number one doesn't need to question it. It's just, hey, life is good. What's the problem?
As a nine, I really envy the ones sometimes. Oh God, it's so exhausting being a nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Okay. What are the, do you ever have people come to you totally resisting what you're saying and not wanting to listen? Or are people usually, when they come and book with you, by
Mm,
that time they're ready to make a
yeah,
change?
they're looking for something, and they find this insight into the energy world of the chakras very helpful, and quite often so, oh wow, I kind of sense that, but now I understand why,
Yeah.
and it clicks and it makes sense for people.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have people who aren't interested coming for sessions because they don't even come.
Yeah. 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 I feel like this work really calls you. Like you hear the call and then somehow you find yourself very synchronistically like hearing someone talk about it, or all of a sudden they find themselves in your class, or it just tends to fall in place once that call starts to be heard. Would you say that this is an ancient technique used to wake people up? For lack of better words, I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, ancient system. Like I said, ancient systems, the astrology, the calendars of all these old cultures were there to guide people, not just individuals, but the society as to what's going on and um, what we need to do at this time. And it's part of a spiritual awakening tradition, a connection to the energy of the stars, to the universe. So you're not stuck just as an independent, separate individual. You're part of a whole universal system.
Hmm. And it's fun to participate in that and know that you have a say instead of feeling like you're out of control.
Yeah.
I just have a few more questions if that's okay.
Yes.
What does it mean when you see people that have, so they have their dominant chakra, then they have their subdominant, and then they have their phases in life? When you see someone that has the same numbering repeated, when I see that, I interpret it as there is some karma, there is some karmic lessons that need to be learned. For example, let's say that you're a nine dominant chakra, yet the first two major phases of your life are one and one. I would interpret that as this person, this soul, has decided to come down to really learn what it means to be in their body and to be on this earth, and to learn
Yeah,
how to be grounded
and
within their
yeah,
spiritual
and
self.
to connect that to the universal reality. Well, those are like the polar opposites of one and nine.
Yeah.
So one is the material world and being here, and nine is, oh, well, really, I'm a universal being connected to divine forces.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is we have a material body. It's here on this planet. It needs certain things. It needs food. It needs some place to live when the weather's bad and that kind of thing. But your mind can be contemplating the universe. But you also need to consider the ground you're
The,
standing on.
mm-hmm.
So it can be conflicting where part of your mind will be the materialistic side of getting grounded and being, but that isn't going to satisfy you because the other nine energy is going to be, why am I doing this? What's the purpose of being here? And so you
Mm-hmm.
need to take the time to establish your house and your job and your material existence, and then take the time to read a book on philosophy and contemplate higher things. And if you're aware that you've got this duality, you don't fall into the material trap of just getting more materialistic and getting a bigger house with a bigger mortgage and a fancier car, because these are all the material things, because you know that this isn't really going to satisfy you. There's the basic necessities for survival,
Mm.
and then the necessity of your consciousness connecting and expanding into something more universal
Mm.
is the other part of your reality. And many people have conflicting chakras. It can be a 5 with a 4. And here you've got a 5 mind that is wanting to do and thinking all the time and planning. And you've got the 4 energy, which is stop thinking, be here now. So when you have that conflict, the mind is usually the stronger of those two, but the pull of the heart center to just, I don't really feel like doing this, but I can. I can think of how I can do this and plan. So you take the time to sit and be, and then you write out things, the possibilities, the probabilities, and then you do.
That'll help
So
satisfy both.
yeah, you need to satisfy both, and because they're opposite energies, if you don't be in the middle with your consciousness and see both sides, you're going to have this indecisive, conflicting life, which will
Resistant.
lead in the 5 4s and is an accident prone combination,
Mm.
because the mind is saying this and the heart is saying no, just wait,
Yeah.
and the mind is always wanting to jump into the next thing.
So I guess this is a good segue to ask, how does Yantra Yoga help you with relationship compatibility?
Well, there again, you look at the potentials, the drives that a person has, and the attitudes, and what you understand their energy. If you understand the chakras, you understand their energy and what their needs are, and you can look at, is that compatible with who I am and what I want to do with my life. And if you're looking at a relationship that can be longer term, you look at life's purpose. Have you found your purpose? Are you looking, or are you just kind of beating around the bush and getting by and da 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 da?
Mm.
So you find your dharma, and dharmic paths can be quite compatible. You can even make 4 and 5 compatible, where one is very intellectual and wordy and thinking a lot, and the other one is much more feeling. But the wordy thinker is aware that the other one is actually a very feeling person. So you consider that in the relationship, and you know that this person is never going to be wanting to talk as much as you. So
The
you
throat
accept that,
chakra.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I accept, okay, I will have some silent time where we just sit and we feel that we are together.
I do feel like I also love to know what other people's dominant chakras are, not beyond relationship, because even in the workplace or with family, if I knew someone was throat chakra dominant, I really need to make sure that they feel like I am hearing them and receiving the message that they're putting out, because if not, it probably that's where the disconnect happens. Or same with like heart chakra, I have to make sure that I understand the way they feel and that I'm,
Yeah.
touchy feeling, and like they do really well with hugging, and not to go and just hug anybody. That's a heart chakra, but it's just saying, like, if you have a more personal relationship with them, you know that they do very well with physical touch and
Yeah.
compassion.
So it helps you to understand the other person's needs and wants and desires, and again, understanding the chakras, and then the fourth chakra feels and does like the feeling and the sharing, and the compassionate aspect of life and the consideration. And 5 will be off in a world of ideas and technology and whatnot, and it's fine. You don't have to follow them there, but you don't want them to stop that and just be sitting there feeling in a meditative state, because it's not their nature.
Yeah. It's finding a good balance. So you
Yeah.
can really use Yantra Yoga for personal reasons, for personal evolution and deep understanding of self, and even in relationships or also in the workplace. Like, you can know if you're building a team, it'd be nice to have someone that's a good networker, the number
Yeah,
two.
you want to have a number two person as part of that team, and they would be the ones who are interconnecting, making sure everyone is communicating their ideas and their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and keeping the team as a team.
Yeah.
If you have a whole bunch of number ones in your team, they're all going to have their own way and want their own way to do things. Why? I think my way is better. We should do this.
Lots of stubbornness and not
Yeah,
listening.
lots of
Yeah.
stubbornness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share about Yantra Yoga and how it could benefit somebody, and why do you think it's so important that we all know our charts?
I think it's important that we know ourselves. We know our human potential, which is what you, by knowing your chakras, you know what your potential is, what your propensities are, your drives. And the whole calendar system, like ancient cultures, were very concerned with the time. The time now in the Yantra system, we're at the end of this age when the old civilization is crumbling, and you can see that, and people are trying to hold it together with an incredible amount of control, which is very stressful. And there's changes happening at the global level, and this is all known, has been calculated, and the the native traditions are still using these ancient calendars and have said that we are at this time of change. And if you know that, you can, okay, I'll watch the change, and I will adapt to whatever needs to happen next. And a big part of that change is we really need to go back to living with nature, not
Mm-hmm.
against it and trying to conquer nature. Doesn't work. So
So what we can do is really get back home to ourselves, learn who we are, our purpose, our potential, and then use that towards bettering the planet and bettering ourselves.
yeah, and Yantra yoga is yoga. It's a form of yoga. It's connected to the other forms, and if you're doing the other forms, you're taking care of your body, you're breathing, you're connecting to the universe, you're absorbing prana, etc. And then it shows you clearly how to map out your plans along a timeline that makes sense, where you know you're going to accomplish this in the one cycle month, and the second cycle month you're going to make all these connections.
Third, you're going to go do, achieve,
Yeah.
make goals.
Fourth, you can sit back and, okay, let's see how this is, and test the system and make some adjustments. And then five, gung ho. So going with the force.
Mm-hmm.
They're all separate forces, and you unite them into what has been called the force.
The force.
Yeah.
And how can people find you if they want to book something with you?
Chakrayoga.com. Online courses.
That's it.
Yantra is one of them, and then book personal sessions. Like I said, I just finished one just after, before you came.
How are we doing on time? Should we quickly just demonstrate what a reading looks like?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this person is heart chakra dominant, the 4, and their subdominant is the 9, and they also have the 7 and the 6 a part of their.
Yeah. So the highlighted ones, the 4 is the life path, the Dharma Mega. This is your chakra for life. The second one with the red square is the period that she is in now, which gives her the seventh chakra. So she has the fourth chakra and the seventh chakra, the power of expansion and healing, and the power of consciousness.
It's a good
That's
combination.
a good combination. Yeah. Now, the 4 in the earlier years, the first 27 years of her life, it was 4 and 9. 4 is very feeling and in the moment and being here, and 9 is tendency to look beyond and go a little further out. And they're not always totally compatible numbers because one is more just feeling and the other one has this philosophical tendency. But now it's gone into a 7 and 4, which are much more compatible. It's consciousness of feeling, consciousness in healing.
Maybe becoming more aware of your feelings and why you feel them. And
Yeah,
I think I see those two as really good, like healer numbers in teaching or.
yeah,
It's good.
healing and teaching. And she's on the yogic path of studying all this. She's dropped her job, well,
Wow.
lost her job because she was airline, working in the airlines as a flight attendant, and that came to a when all traveling stopped.
Mm.
So now she's just focusing on doing the yoga. So she's gone into this fourness, and she's in a 4 cycle year this year. So it's going deeper into herself and self study. And then you got the dharmic realities of the energy of number 8 coming from the universe, helping her along and providing at the spiritual level of Dharma, it's spiritual knowledge which is coming to you, not material wealth, but spiritual wealth. And in the flow of this energy coming into her and going into again the seventh, 7 is there also in the chart in the dharmic cycles of with her 7, which is her secondary chakra. It's empowering the development of that consciousness to expand beyond the walls of our limited perception in this world.
Mm.
So, again, we're dealing with understanding the chakra energies in order to be able to interpret all of these numbers that are here.
So because she is heart chakra dominant, she's in a 7 phase. And dharmically, she's in the 8, which is a very abundant and fortunate number. Would you say that she's on the right path? She's spending all of her time really going in and learning and becoming more aware about herself. And these next 2 years that are influenced by the 8, it's really pushing her to this self evolution. It will provide that for her.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then if she decided, oh, I want to go back home and try to find a man and get married, and I mean, she could choose to
been
do
there, done
that.
that.
Oh, okay. But basically, she's in the right path. She won't feel a lot of resistance here. Or if she does, it means that she's gotten off
Yeah,
this.
but she's very aware and awake, and she's going back to living in nature. Right now, she's in a more civilized area, but she's stepping out of that and going back to be in a natural environment where there's more forest and greenery, as she puts it,
Yeah.
connecting with nature.
Cool. And just one last question. What if someone has a doubling of numbers? Would it mean that they're more prone to being undercharged or overcharged, or they're more prone to being right in alignment because they have extra of that energy?
Yeah, they have a very strong energy of those combinations, whatever that is. It becomes more obvious and more clear of what that energy is because there's no conflicting energies. There's just this is the way it is, and you really sense that I can do this because this is my time for doing it.
Mm, okay.